J Squad.
We gotta find now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. The program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? What a day, what a day. Let me get my little dude up here. I also need to get in. Where did it go? What did I do? Did I really? Yep, looks like it. Let's do this. So I've made the internet mad today. Actually, this weekend, if you haven't been paying attention or you didn't come in last stream, I called Sandy Petersen a tourist, and people got mad about it. So I didn't know who he was at the time, and I still don't even really know everything about him. I've actually been looking up some stuff about him, and it's an interesting, very interesting, um, interesting case. Like I don't think a lot of people know much about Sandy Petersen, and we're gonna do research. Like I've been doing a little bit, but I haven't done it all. So we're gonna do a little bit of that here today, looking over Sandy Petersen and his career that has made me the tourist that I am for not having paid attention to him, for not knowing who he was. So this should be interesting. I found a couple of videos. I found a couple of tweets. I've been looking through his spreadsheet of stuff, and I'm not as impressed as I thought I would be about it. But let's get to some other content first. Some small stuff. We got to look at some of the other people that are calling me out. One of them being John Della Rose decided to jump in on me. This I'm not even sure about. The last time I spoke to him was recently, where I made a comment about him. Sigma and me mentioned it, and then I think we talked about it afterwards in Discord. But I don't even. It wasn't even. It was like a light criticism of John Della Rose, if I remember right. If I remember right. So let's see here. Man, I have nothing set up. Boom. Boom. Let's do this. Let's go back to X because I have the wrong. Shareable link. There we go. Go into here. And then boom. There we go. Now we got the right link up. Da da da. Go in here. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I did. Good, 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 good. Of course, like an old man, I messed up my stream again, but we should be good to go. Here. Where is one more thing? But yeah, so Sandy Petersen made some comments about the D&D games, or about that little gay art. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but we're going to go more into the subject of it. I've said my feelings on Wizards of the Coast as a whole and kind of what I've seen throughout their history. And people were mad because I called him a tourist for what he said on the channel. Boom. Let's try this because this is probably the long one. Oh, yeah. No. That's the right one. That's the right one. All right. So, yeah, they were mad because I called him a tourist, mostly because of the comments he made. So, if you haven't seen his comments, they're basically just small blurbs from lore of the editions, basically just taken right off the wiki and with no context of the rest of the lore to try and make it seem like this picture that isn't even part of the lore, that's like a fan picture, is somehow wrong, right? That D&D as a whole, you can't do whatever you want. You have to stick by the strict rigors of the rule. Now, he's come out and said something about he thought I was joking, stuff like that. I reached out and said my piece. He hasn't reacted back to me. In fact, he said nothing back to me about any of this, which is fine. Let's let's go here, window capture. Boom, 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 boom. But before we get into him and start looking at his career and a few videos that I found, we're going to look at John Della Rose. If you don't know who John Della Rose is, he is part of the Culture War group. He was part of the anti-wokers for a long time. There was a falling out a few months back, and a lot of the more Christian-focused anti-wokers separated from the group, mostly over disagreements, especially around things like sexual women in games, gaming porn, stuff like that. As would be expected. Boom. But today, he's made a video on little old me. There I am. Or there he is. Jump scare. Boop. And why can't I? There we go. There we go. So we're going to watch this. We'll see what JDA has to say. And if I have any comments, I'll make comments. Boom, boom, boom.
For Dungeons and Dragons, and this has been quite the week for Dungeons and Dragons and fans, and actually across the culture, the left just going absolutely unhinged. That people are noticing how bad the woke products are from Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast.
This is an interesting how woke the products are. So I'm hoping to see that. But he says like the left have been unhinged when all that has happened so far is this gay little picture that has come up, right? So I'm wondering what he's going to point out. Like, is it going to be the charity and the merch is the problem, even though it's nothing directly connected to D&D outside they're doing the charity work, or is it going to be other stuff? Like, is he going to pull stuff out of the manuals, out of the crux and heart of D&D,
the comic book industry, and more? The best part about this is they know that they've kind of run out of insults that actually matter or actually have any sort of gravitas anymore. I was positing this just the other day because a big YouTube influencer was calling me a white supremacist on in DM. Like it's like I'm supposed to be shamed for that or something like that. And I realized, a few years ago, somebody doing that with a big following or whatever would actually frighten me and actually be like, oh gosh, I might lose everything. I might get banned from all these things. At this point, I'm like, are you sure you want to make me look cooler than I actually am? And it's very, very true. People just kind of laugh that off at this point because it's so ridiculous. They just use those words, white supremacist, racist, homophobe, to mean, I don't like your opinion on this topic. Because they don't have an answer to the opinion on the topic is usually what goes down with these situations. And it's the exact case with Dungeons & Dragons. Now, we know that Dungeons & Dragons had this crazy art that came out with this like weird gay village with all these monsters acting gay together. It was very odd, and they were attempting to push that for a national coming out day to try to groom people into the LGBTQ lifestyle.
This is it. Like posting a picture online is grooming kids into the LGBTQ lifestyle, right? It doesn't matter that it's on D&D X, right? Maybe on their website. Whoops, we went too far. Uh-oh. Spoiler alerts. It's got to be some kind of grooming thing. No, it's a little gay thing with a little gay merch for the little gay people that like to play D&D. I don't agree with the trans life calls thing. I don't know what they're actually would be accomplishing with this. I've also seen their history where a lot of the stuff involved around like the money laundering thing doesn't seem to be well founded or evidenced, but at the very least, it doesn't seem like they were doing much. Like it's a tiny, it was tiny, at least at this time. So it's like, what is it actually for? But they can, signal to little gay people who want to buy little gay shirts if they want to do a charity.
Not much comes out of it because, of course, they've torched everything with the way that they're running the brand right now. So they're trying to change it into this like lifestyle brand.
I would like to know, like I would like to sit down with John Della Rose and talk about what he thinks they're doing to torch the brand, right? Because I agree. I absolutely believe Wizards of the Coast is torching their brand. They've been doing it for quite a while now, even before the 2024 issue came out. They did it with D&D 1. They've done it with trying to get rid of the OGL. They've done it with a bunch of other systems and things. They don't like they're where is his line going to be? It's usually somewhere around woke or gay or things like that. I want to know what he actually knows.
Brand where they can just license things out to different people and just clip some money off of this. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get into the LGBTQ plus whatever group to try to do so. A bold move, since that's like
Hold on, let me hear that again.
2% of the population, and it just turns off everybody else because nobody wants to be around that who's a normal person. That's what it comes down to. That's why all those people are so terminally angry and terminally online all the time. Now, they started going at some of the original RPG designers, the biggest names in the industry, who did some of the best.
This is going to be interesting. Let's see here. Whoops.
Roast in this text field.
Whoa, I don't know why you're coming up. Get out of here. Let's see here. Bear with me. No, that's not what I wanted. The fuck is going on here? Air duplicate stream. Hold on, I think I got some stuff going on here. Let's go studios, content, live. Is it actually? Okay. Is it actually? Good. So it didn't look like it was showing up there before. Boop. Back this way. Oh, man. I'm just doing some quick stuff. I thought I was ready for stream, and then I hit one wrong button, and now everything is all jacked up. Boom, boom, boom. Delete. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Ta-da. Boom. All right. So anyways, let's go back here. I want to hear what he was saying about that particular subject.
That's why all those people are so terminally angry and terminally online all the time. Now, they started going at
A very interesting question.
No!
this has been quite the to mean I don't like your opinion on this topic because they don't sure you want to make me look cooler than I actually am and it's topic because they don't have an answer to the opinion on the topic is usually what goes down with these situations. And it's the exact case with Dungeons and Dragons. Now, we know that Dungeons and Dragons had this crazy art that came out with this like weird gay village with all these monsters acting gay together. It was very odd. And they were attempting to push that for a national coming out day to try to groom people into the LGBTQ lifestyles. That's what Dungeons and Dragons is as a brand now. They talked about earlier this year, Hasbro, in the quarterly reports when they were talking about their earnings as things were down from what they expected them to be, that they were trying to turn Dungeons and Dragons into a lifestyle brand. This is something that Marvel Comics did several years back, where they were started releasing cookbooks and crochet books and just random YouTube videos about just like living their life, but with like Marvel merch. And that's what Hasbro wants to do because they know that the making of the books is really not profitable for them. It's a lot of work and not much comes out of it because, of course, they've torched everything with the way that they're running the brand right now. So they're trying to change it into this like lifestyle brand where they can just license things out to different people and just clip some money off of this. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get into the LGBTQ.
Well, I mean, they wanted to do this is why they wanted to remove the OGL, right? They saw all these creators that were making money. The original owner of the OGL was wrote this thing where basically people can make the modules that they want to make without any problems, without any issues, without even really having to pay Dungeons and Dragons anything for it. And now they want a piece of all of that pie because it's easier than them trying to make books, make content, or any of that other, jazz. Hold on, I actually can't see your tweet there, bud. What is going on here? Boom, boom, boom. Enable preview, open projector. Let's put it up here. Oh, what's going on, Q? What's going on? Yeah, we're talking about him. I'm brought up in this video, so I figured we'd watch some of my own content and go through it. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, whoops. Let's close this and we'll keep going. But yeah, this is why they wanted to get rid of the OGL. They wanted easy money, and the easiest money was people making money off of their content. I think that didn't work because the D&D community is all about creativity, and there's a lot of backlash for that shit. So here we are now with them failing because they decided to make an entire new, and I don't see how this wasn't a loss of money, making an entirely new book set to try and sell for a system that people didn't want changed, right? So yeah, sure. They are trying to be more open. They're trying to sell t-shirts and dolls and all those other things, but you can't say that about this LGBTQ little thing, right? It's just a charity. The proceeds, I wonder how many of the proceeds are actually going towards the shirts. Like, is it all the proceeds? What's going on there? That I'd have to look into. This guy is one bee sting away from being JD Vance meme. Oh.
Plus whatever group to try to do so. A bold move, since that's like 2% of the population, and it just turns off everybody else because nobody wants to be around that who's a normal person. That's what it comes down to. That's why
I hate to tell you, normal people have no idea about this. Not a single normal person is on X looking at that Dungeons and Dragons picture and going, oh man, they're making it so gay. I don't want to go play my own games now. I'm tempted to paint one of my beholders to look like the one in that picture. Dude, there's a rule set that came out for it. I guess someone was trying to own the wokies with it, but it's actually pretty damn funny. Blitz, down in the description is my God, I can't think of any Discord link. If you do, post it in there. I've got a place for models that I don't post enough pictures in, but yeah, do it.
people are terminally angry.
Actually, I told my friends that I called the creator of Call of Cthulhu a tourist, and they just laughed, and they still didn't know who he was.
And terminally online all the time. Now, they started going at some of the original RPG designers, the biggest names in the industry.
Designers, right? Designers.
Who did some of the best work in the industry as well today. And they started.
Sometimes I remember how dumb culture war drama is. I know, it's so wonderful, isn't it? I've been playing D&D since high school and had no idea who he was. Well, that's the thing. Like, most people who play D&D aren't really looking to see who the authors are of D&D. Like, everyone knows who Gary Gygax is. But other than that, like, do you really know unless you're the truly autistic people who have to know about every writer?
That they didn't understand Dungeons and Dragons. This is how stupid this is. On the other front, this was done to Chuck Dixon. They were telling him when Chuck Dixon posted about Batman that he didn't understand Batman. You see how these people are doing this? Now they're changing the words racist to tourist. That's slop.
No, tourist was actually an anti-woke word first, right? For people who were coming in and doing the woke thing. They've used it for other stuff. I don't think anyone's racist. I think that Petersen has no idea what he's fucking talking about when it comes to D&D. And we'll kind of go over some of that to where I think I am fucking right.
things like that, because they just try to use words. They don't actually understand what they mean. So let's get into this news in just a moment. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us as we talk about Dungeons & Dragons and this crazy leftist influencer game that's going on.
Oh, God, he's reading right from his articles.
Right now. I'm a science fiction writer, and this is my Valiant Frontiers. If you like my channel, if you like all my thoughts on storytelling, on classics, you're going to really enjoy this. This is bringing sci-fi back to what it used to be back in the 60s and 70s when it was about exploring strange new worlds instead of exploring strange new genders. This is a trilogy, which
has, like, I haven't read a single fantasy book or even read about a single fantasy book, or not fantasy, sci-fi book that is this way. Like, where I don't know, JDA, that seems a little off.
Each book has a high science fiction concept that our crew of the EA Valiant goes through and, of course, fights and engages in their heroism for. It's led by a strong male lead. I know, shocking. Captain Christopher Conley, white. Oh, my gosh. Shocking. Wouldn't be allowed to be published in today's environment, so I'm crowdfunding this, and I would love for you to get in on it. Not only is it the best storytelling I've done in my career, but on top of it, we're doing these premium hardcover products and a special leather-bound edition of my first sci-fi trilogy that I did before called The Erection War, which is going to be just phenomenally beautiful.
Jesus.
I'm a leather-bound book collector myself, so I really enjoy these sort of premium editions, and I know a lot of RPG people do as well, because I collect those too. All right, grab this. It's in the description below. Thank you guys so much for supporting our channel and our efforts. This is the future, is independent science fiction and fantasy, and that's what we need to get going today. So this is what we got. As you remember, this is the image shown around the world of these gay monsters being gay in a gay city, it seems like.
So here's the thing. Partying is gay. A festival is gay. The only two people in this scene that are gay that I see are the blue boy and the man. So because they're in the beginning, and maybe a city can't be gay, right? Exactly. You could maybe say the beholder, right? Because he's so nice and friendly. But fun fact that I found out yesterday, new information that came to me with all the D&D that I've played. Second edition D&D had a good beholder who ran an inn and didn't kill people. So, this one could actually be lore correct.
With all these bright colors and all that, and weird sort of, I don't even know what they're going for. It looks terrible. And this is not representative of anybody's Dungeons & Dragons game ever.
I mean, that's bullshit. Like, I hate to tell you, JDA, tons of gays play D&D. Tons of gays have played D&D for quite a while now. So you may not think it represents your games. That's true, but you can't say that about everyone's games.
Out with a party, fighting against monsters, and trying to get some loot. That is typically the Dungeons & Dragons experience.
Which one are you talking about? Matt Mercer, the Critical Role guys, or Legends of Evantris do pretty gay stuff. Critical Role, Legends of Evantris is like up there with them, and they do some pretty gay stuff. Though as I've watched more of their content, it's hard to say that they actually play D&D.
Experience, not sitting around a table fantasizing about your like homosexual wedding. I've never seen a game like that. But
I actually had one of the guys who was going at me back and forth about that admit that he had gay characters in his game. So yeah, even more normal people will do it for just the fun of role playing. You're not actually touching dicks if you're doing it in D&D, right?
But these people want to act like this is what Dungeons & Dragons is always and has been about, which is insane because it never was this way. So Robert J. Kuntz, if you don't know who he is, he's an American game designer, author, and one of the foundational figures in the creation and early development of Dungeons & Dragons. A childhood friend of Gary Gygax in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, he played and co-DM'd.
Yeah, it does make it sound like he thinks it's contagious.
The original Greyhawk campaign introduced the famed character Robilar and contributed to landmark works like Greyhawk Supplement and Deities and Demigods. He is recognized for his creativity, his Castle Araja Key campaign, and his contributions to adventure modules such as Mordekainen's Fantastic Adventure and Maze of Zain series. Whew. So he is excellent and a great guy. I've talked with him many times. Really knows his stuff. Yeah, really creative RPG designer.
I'll have to look into him too, because all they mentioned right there was Greyhawk and Gary Gygax's side. What has he contributed to the community since then? That's one thing I'm noticing with Petersen that we're going to talk about.
This is what he said about the current state of D&D. He said, D&D has always been about participating in and building, experiencing fantasy, not fantasies or fantasizing. It's about the fear and wonder of the unknown, not the socio-political, postmodern, and nihilistic claptrap. It's about adventure and parties in arms who excel in such quests, not papier-mâché parties. Legends are born with the former, while the latter produces, at best, gruel for the simple.
So I would already say, let's break this down while he's reading it. About fantasy and not fantasies or fantasizing. Those are all really the same thing. If you're playing D&D, you're fantasizing about being a warrior barbarian, smashing skulls and drinking beer, right? The whole role play element of it has existed for a while. He's just talking about the sex side of it, and I hate to tell you, people have been running those kind of games of D&D for a long, long time, long before any of this woke stuff, because people play the campaigns at their tables the way they want to play them. Lots of old heads often offended by the pic saying that they need to barely armored elf girl in the art they are fantasizing about. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Now, when you go down to this clapback, social, political, postmodern, nihilistic claptrap, the thing about D&D is it is you're telling stories. Me personally, I find one shots where you just go into a dungeon and fight shit incredibly boring. You can tell a great story and you can have really hard subjects in that story. So to me, a papier-mâché party, a thin party, is just a group of people who are doing nothing more than wanting to look like they're heroes, right? So I think it's the opposite.
Minded, who have no anchorage in myths, legends, and stories that birth the genre and its subgenres. The latter's postmodern gobbledygook deconstructs the pillars of fantasy and mocks untold years of dedicated to its classical beginnings and its creativity, wit, and imagination of its authors. It insults the thousands of years of culture, literature, and folk tales while standing in their ashes like some of the uninformed, midget-minded arsonist. It is an affront to truth in all cases, culturally and historically, and unlike the target it aims to impugn, mock, and destroy itself, will be consigned to the dustbin of history.
This right here is just gobbledygook. None of this is this is just word salad about how mad you are that people aren't playing the game that you were a part of the way you wanted them to play it. Sorry, bud. It's become a story, what is the best way I've heard it called? A collaborative storytelling arc, and those stories can be told in any way they want. They're the Dungeons and Dragons at his whole now is the rules that come with it. The lore and stuff they add around it is great to get people started into the game, but you don't have to use a single bit of that to play Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, we all love a good sword and sorcery one, but there are many other mediums that you can take Dungeons and Dragons to and create great stories.
Savage. Absolutely savage. So what happened when he posted this? He started getting this going at him by some just random... This kid apparently is under 18, doesn't know the history of Dungeons & Dragons, couldn't take a second to look up who this guy was that he was talking to. Post was written by someone who's never played D&D. Cool. D&D is literally meant to be adjusted for your liking. It's 1,000% meant for fantasies. Read a effing book, a D&D book. Yeah, well, Robert wrote...
Let's look at Robert Kuntz, actually. So, Robert Kuntz. Let's see what he's been involved in. Oh, God. So he was part of TSR, a company that ran itself into the fucking ground. just coming in to call you a loser. Get better soon. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Thanks for the view. Kuntz left TSR when Gary Gygax forced him out. Interesting. Gary Gygax's friend and co-DM Kuntz influenced the development of Greyhawk, for example. So he's just Greyhawk. The co-author of the Greyhawk supplement. Okay, let's see here. Let's go back up to the top. Let's keep going. Born, blah, 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 blah. Don't care when he was born. Provided demonstrations of Blackmore in the dungeon. Coots playing board games and miniatures. Gary, myself, and others, lucky fellows. In 1972, at only the age of 17, Kuntz, you're welcome. Generally have a good stream. I appreciate it, Visible. If you ever want to come and hang out, I do not mind people coming in who disagree with me. You can come in here and try and fucking one guy me, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But you have a good one if you don't stick around. In 1972, and at age of 17, he lived a few blocks away from Gary Gygax. Got a chance to play in the second ever game session of Dungeons and Dragons that was set in the world of Greyhawk, where his player character was a fighter named Robilar. Kuntz began running his own Castle Key campaign for Gary Gygax in 19. So I know I butchered that. His campaign world was known as Calibran. Oh, so he wrote his own campaign world. How about that? In 1974, the group of D&D players in the Gary Gygax Gaming sometimes hosted over 20 people. Nice. So Kuntz became the co-dungeon master so that each dungeon master could focus on smaller groups with dozens of players. Been there. Kuntz pulled in some of the elements of his own campaign into Greyhawk, and some level of Ela Raj Key became merged into Castle Greyhawk. So yeah, this was in 1972. 1973 is when he founded TSR, and he was the first employee hired. And soon after, Robs Kuntz, Tim Cast, and Dave Murray. Kuntz was the sixth employee of TSR and was initially hired to work in shipping. Interesting. But because of the small size of the company, everyone got a chance to do some design work, allowing Kuntz to co-author the Greyhawk supplement. So he wasn't a normal writer. He just happened to co-author the supplement. Got it. He also co-authored Gods and Demigods with Ward. That same year, Kuntz, along with Gygax and Brexart, redeveloped the Lankmar war game. The publishing of TSR in the original design. His short fiction with Vermilion, Expedition Barriers. As a D&D player, he did Robalon, the first character to successfully complete the Tomb of Horrors, among other exploits. Because of Kuntz's imaginative play with his character, Gary Gygax awarded him co-DM status for the original Greyhawk home campaign. Authored and co-authored several D&D publications, including the first edition's Deities and Demigods. Kuntz wanted to move entirely into game design and write supplement based on his world of Calibran, but the company would not let him get more involved in the creative work, so Kuntz left TSR in 1977. So he was never fully into game design and writing supplements, but he did author and co-author, including the first other one. So he was like, it seems like he was doing work for them, but he wasn't getting paid what the work was worth. Okay, so he left. Oh, hold on. Kuntz designed a 2-part tournament adventure. Mordecai's. Kuntz wrote Mordecai's Fantastic Adventures, 1984. Kuntz continued to play and participate in the Greyhawk games before he left. He left because when Gary Gygax was forced out. Okay. And was protective of his intellectual property, never having signed the rights to Calibron or to anyone. Kuntz created his own company, Creations Unlimited, in 1986 to hold and protect the rights of his games and world creation. Let's see here. The Maze, The Prisoner of the Maze, this and this. So Kuntz contributed to 2 adventures and TSR adventures, 1989. So he wrote a lot in the beginning, co-writing a lot of stuff in TSR. Later RPG products, Necromancer Games, Unlimited Adventures for the D20 system. Okay, so he was part of the D20 system. D20 system is a role-playing game system published in 2000 by Wizards of the Coast, originally developed for the 3rd edition of Dungeons & Dragons. Yep. Necromancer Games reprinted the first 3 mazes. Relationship. Kuntz ended his relationship with Necromancer. Different Worlds Publications. Troll Lord Games. So what I'm gathering from this as I keep reading down, yeah, he's done a lot of stuff in other genres, but he is very much still butthurt. The Black Festival is a fiction novel. Dungeon Set 1 or 2. Since seen published, including... Yeah, he was in D&D during the beginning. When Gary got booted, he fucking left with him. And now he's still mad at D&D. So he says it has to be based off of the original vision, which is not what D&D is anymore. All right.
Wrote a few of those, so good luck with that. I think his knowledge of this is much better than yours is, but he just got played on it. Now, he did not back down once he found out who it is. He just started calling everybody stupid who was criticizing this post in response to it. But he wasn't the only one out there. Yes, Sandy Petersen also got attacked on this. Now, Sandy Petersen is the creator of the Call of Cthulhu RPG and actually has worked on D&D as well. An epic legend.
Fun fact.
Game designer. Sandy Petersen was mocking it, saying owlbears, which is the monster here, are fierce, savage predators, vicious, ravenous beasts that combine a bear's power with an owl's perception and a nasty disposition. Actual rules. That's the actual rules. You see the kobolds in here being...
So, funny thing, too, is this isn't rules. This is fluff lore for the monsters. So he is wrong. I'm sorry. Petersen's wrong. He's also got the lore all mixed up, or he's also not giving the entirety of the lore in D&D.
Gay and dancing around too. None of it makes.
Now we're going to go look at exactly what he has written for D&D here soon.
Sense. But I mean, it's very weird because if you start to logically think about this, these are nasty, savage beasts and the like, and they're engaging in LGBTQ grooming. I guess they're kind of telling on themselves that they're the monsters in this situation. And that's the weird thing about this. These people always fantasize about being the monster.
So I'm hoping that he at least plays. But 3.5 has had these creatures, owlbears, absolutely be tameable, though it is very difficult, of course. There is lore in 5e talking about how they are tameable. In many cases, there's just no direct rule set that I've seen. And not to mention the most popular game to come out in the last few years, Baldur's Gate 3 gives you the chance to have a owlbear pet. I don't think it ever becomes like a companion that can attack. I don't remember. Haven't gotten that far into it even. Over time, my players tamed an owlbear, so that is a weirdly incorrect. Yeah, there's definitely ways you can do it, and on top of it, it's your game. You can do whatever you want with your game, right? If you want a dancing owlbear, go for it. It could also be someone in D&D 3.5 using polymorph. to turn into whatever the fuck they want. That's like one of the most broken spells in the game.
Not my deal. This is what they're putting out there in their art. So, this is what he said. Naturally, got the exact same deal. Has this guy ever played a tabletop RPG? Because he smells like a tourist. And this is the new thing. Like I said, they're calling everybody tourists, calling them illiterate.
They, JDA, who is they? Because I know you know that I'm not a fucking wokey. So you want to come talk about it, you know where I'm at.
They're media illiterate is the original term for it, and that's what they're going as if these guys who designed these games don't understand.
Petersen did not design anything in Dungeons and Dragons from the original side. I found one case here. Let's look. Let's look what his wiki says. And I found one other idea of exactly where he has authored a game, and it was like co-authoring a second edition D&D. So, what has he published for D&D? He's done the Cthulhu mythos, but he left them in like 84. He got with them in 84 and he left in 88, I believe. So let's see what he's done for D&D. He has done Sandy Petersen's Cthulhu mythos for 5e, October 2019. This, from what I can tell, is not official D&D content. It's not on their website at all. You can find it on, I think, RPG, what is it called? RPG drive-through, boop. Which is a site where everyone can post D&D. There we go. Yeah, through RPG, drive-through RPG. There we go. I better take this over here in case it pops up anything. No, it doesn't have it logged in. Good. So let's see. Do. What I do with it? There it is. Bring this back over here. God damn, it doesn't even come up here. Maybe you can only buy it on his site, because that's the only place that I've seen it. Overview supplement. That's the book. Oh yeah, there it is, Drive-Through RPG. Oh, it's gone. But he's not on. Let me pull it up, D&D Beyond. Because I looked. Maybe I missed it. Their official Cthulhu work is with Chaosorium, and it's not Gary Gygax's. Source, view all sources. Ignore that I don't have the player's guide. I got it on a ship and got that taken care of. So here's adventures, here's supplements. I'm not seeing it. Because they partnered with a lot of groups, right? They've started to partner with a lot of groups. So you have like this content, but then this stuff is partnered. Beyond the Witchlight is partnered content. Spelljammer, like a lot of this is partnered. And we get down here, like I'm about to do the Crooked Moon campaign. Like, where is it? Where's even the one that I was looking at earlier? I don't see you, Gary. I don't see your books. Boom, boom, boom. Where's the Cthulhu one? I know. I saw it. Where is it? Well, I can't even find the Cthulhu one now. But his, I probably passed over it and y'all are like screaming at me in the computer. Infernal Machines. So yeah, he's not official D&D. He's OG. He's using the OGL to make money. So yeah, now his other ones: Pathfinder 2016, Pathfinder Second Edition 2021. Where are all the content games that he makes? I tried looking it up. I found one Second Edition book that he co-wrote on it. So I'm not sure this is the legend that everybody thinks of. You want to give me proof? If people want to come in and show me anything other than he was the main author for Call of Cthulhu, a company which he left in 1988 and hasn't been writing for, as far as I'm aware, forever. Let's even look up Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu TTRPG, and this is a TTRPG that I want to get. So I'll give him credit that he was the sounds touristy. I mean, just a little, right? I've made Dungeons and Dragons books. Oh, you have? In 2019? So the rules. Do they give contact resources? We Are All of Us, Free Adventures. I don't know if it's going to say any of the writers that are on here. Probably not. Call of Cthulhu, Keeper's Player Book. Does it say the writers? Other details? Ah, it does say he's on here for the 2016 edition. So he is still at least actively writing with them. Unless they have to have his name on there, but I doubt it. So Call of Cthulhu is his system, right? Call of Cthulhu is his system. If he was talking about Call of Cthulhu, I would be fine with it, but he's not. He's not talking about Call of Cthulhu. He's talking about fucking Dungeons and Dragons, and he is fucking wrong. Well, he's at least misrepresenting
the genre. That's really ridiculous. And again, these guys know that nobody plays games like this. This is there's again, no D&D table has something like this going on. Now, like I said, this happened.
So festivals, I think the problem with source material is that everyone has their own version and that it gets mixed up. True. Well, even if you look at like the Forgotten Realms and all the books and stuff like that, it was come up. It gets pretty muddled along the way, and things get obviously retconned and changed. So it gets a little crazy, right? But festivals in any fantasy book are like the staple of where a adventure begins. There's like, we met at an inn, or we walked into the festival and something bad happened. So yes, there are tons of games that use that, JDA.
To Chuck Dixon as well. Chuck Dixon is a writer of Batman, a legendary guy, and he was criticizing Daniel Warren Johnson.
Oh, I don't really care about this.
Modern DC Comics artist.
I don't do comics, so I don't really care about this one way or the other. Festivals in my fantasy TTRPG. How dare they put festivals in my TTRPG? So with that, I started just kind of trying to figure out, all right, who is this guy? You know, and it's clear he still writes for Cthulhu, and then now he mostly makes board games, it seems, or he does Kickstarters for board games, and then he has one movie. So no official work. I've been looking through a lot of these, and Doom was one thing I heard people talk about a lot, right? So someone pointed something interesting out to me about the way Sandy Petersen talks about Doom. So this...
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't feel like these are takes for you.
What are you doing? There we go. So Sandy Petersen said, in 1993, I joined ID Software. There was a Doom Bible written by Tom Hall, but I only ever got a brief skim of it. I think it was used by the artist and John Romero to some extent, but I didn't really access it. one of my jobs was actually to write the Doom manual. As part of that, I have to name all the enemies. I don't stretch my brain too far. I mean, zombie wasn't a tough call. I changed the Bruiser Brothers to Hell Barons, so there's that. I also had to create the Doom guy's backstory. I wrote about 5 entire pages of story, and I discussed his previous career, why he is now embittered, and why the corporate experiment on Phabos, I always pronounce that wrong, is were about, and so forth. Then I started cutting back the story. I thought it was too much, and who cared anyway? In the end, the final backstory I have is just 2 sentences. You show up on Phabos and there's monsters. But really, what else do you need? I view this as the greatest contribution to digital gaming. If you want to read the text, get a book. Any of you love backstory, I'm the bad guy here. If you hate backstory, I'm your Huckleberry. So we got that, and then we've got this. John Romero, one of the creators of Doom, has rebuked this. And it's because John Romero quote tweeted him. Hello again, Sandy. This is kind of saying that this happens quite often. This post isn't accurate. Kevin Cloud wrote the Doom manual on Next Step. Tom Hall wrote the original story, which Kevin summarized on the entirety of page 1 of the Doom manual. So flat out calling Sandy Petersen a liar. Now, I started going down to the comments, and he said, I added after Tom left was the Doom guy assaulting a superior and subsequently shipped to Mars. That's it. Game history is critically important, particularly for games like Doom. Retconning into someone else's credit, like at Tom Hall, does a disservice to his work. Oh shit, I caught a Hello Sandy live. It seems like the Doom community doesn't really care for Sandy. Did John Romero just make Sandy his bitch? Uh-oh. So is this guy really a legend? Or is he a has-been who makes a bunch of claims and doesn't have that much to it? This is actually a mistake Sandy wrote on Doom, the D&D supplement, which you also can't find anywhere. Really? See, the more I find out about him, the more I feel like he's not this legend that people are calling him out to be. You can call him a legend for making Call of Cthulhu. I absolutely can agree with that. So if he wants to talk about Call of Cthulhu stuff, I absolutely think he's going to be the expert on that. The Cthulhu mythos, maybe not. Is he one of the people that brought it together? Is Sandy Petersen the one that brought it together in the RPG, or was it brought together by someone else? I don't remember when it comes to that. So yeah, so far, this legend calls this legend a liar, and it gets community noted. Then we go into his history, things like Sid Pirates, awesome game, but I don't see where he's credited in any of these games. Like Control F. Sandy, he's not anywhere in here. Now, this is just a wiki. There was probably more people on it, but he talks like he is the main focus of all of these games when he can't even be put on the fucking page, the wiki page for it. Now let's keep going. Hyperspeed, Civilization, Lightspeed. Let's see if he's there. Now there he is. Look, designer for Lightspeed, Interstellar Action and Adventure. Let's look at Civilization, 1991. Sid Meier was in there. Where is Sandy? Why is he not in there as the designer, programmer, one of the writers? Hyperspeed. Hyperspeed doesn't say any. Well, it says these two. Yep, Sandy Petersen's on that one, so we got him there. Darklands. No Sandy Petersen. Nope, there he is. I missed him. There he is. Doom. He should be on here, and he is, as one of the designers. From what I understand, he did make a ton of maps for Doom 2, I know, and some of them for Doom 1. So he's on that one. I expect to see him on Doom. Was he on Doom 2? He was, as one of the designers. But as we've seen, he likes to lie about his contribution to Doom. Oh, is this just... Yep, Sandy Petersen's part of that. Quake. I believe he was part of Quake. There he is. Designer. On there with John Romero. Hexen and Beyond. I don't see him on here. Did I miss him? Sandy, where you at, Sandy? He's not on this one. So how much did he contribute to it? Final Doom. Romero. He's not even on Final Doom. Yeah, he's not even on the credits of Final Doom, even though he has it on his wiki. Quake 2. It says he's uncredited only on this one, which is strange. Why not say uncredited on all of these other ones that he's not credited on? Age of Empires. Bruce. Not credited on this one. Rise of Rome. He is credited on this one. Age of Empires 2. He's not credited on this one. Conquerors. Not credited on this one. Age of Empires 3. Not credited. Not credits for anyone on this one. So we'll go with there. And then Halo Wars. Not credited on that one. So he's not credited on the vast majority of these. So what was his job? What did he do for them? Because it doesn't say anything. These are his 2 role-playing games that he's made. Call of Cthulhu, 1981. And then these are unofficial D&D or D&D and Pathfinder modules. So he's not a D&D writer. He's not a Forgotten Realms writer. His Cthulhu books didn't get used in any official capacity that I could see. So what's going on here? Where is Sandy Petersen, the legend? Where's all of the stuff that he's in? Boom, boom, boom. Let's keep looking, though. Later, I found this. I think we're going to be done pretty quick with the Sandy Petersen stuff. This was a day ago. I don't know this Crispy Tavern guy. I think I've seen some of his content before. So fairly decent size channel. Sandy Petersen, Kickstarter's saddest failure. So what I have noticed is Petersen has been making board games. He's made Cthulhu Wars, one that I've looked at buying, but just never have. And maybe that's for the better. I guess we'll see. So let's see what this guy says about it and what his interpretation of the D&D community.
Involves H.P. Lovecraft. Hey, want to hear a story? A story that involves H.P. Lovecraft. Despite his many problems, H.P. Lovecraft was a very, very talented author. He was unparalleled in crafting the vibes of horror. And while I know it would give this guy a freaking aneurysm if he ever heard me saying this, I'm actually a really big fan of his work, problematic or not. I mean, like I said before, he's unparalleled. And there's a reason why a lot of authors to this day in many mediums take inspiration from what he wrote. He was a big old coward who was afraid of basically everything, and he was really good at shoving that fear onto his audience. That audience would expand into many, many different genres, including the medium of tabletop role-playing games. Enter Call of Cthulhu and its creator, Sandy Petersen. Sandy has not just worked on Call of Cthulhu. He has a very impressive portfolio of classic games, including the original Doom by id Software. He is well known amongst many old school gamers, and on social media, he's known as a gaming grandpa who shows these kids about the old way of doing things. It's a cute persona, but you might know something interesting about Sandy. A lot of his long-term fans and many of his long-term customers are not exactly happy with him right now. And it's not just because of his Twitter takes, okay? Like, I know a lot of people think that's what this video is going to be about, but it's not. We'll talk about his Twitter keyboard warrior stuff at the very, very end. It's actually more to do with his business practices. Sandy Petersen and his company, Petersen Games, are behind some of the worst business scandals I have ever seen in the world of tabletop role-playing games. It makes the stuff we've covered before in Critical Failure look like absolutely nothing. Levels of irresponsibility I did not think possible. And at a certain degree of stupidity, it starts looking and appearing a lot like malice. Sandy Petersen has a never-ending list of scandals, and I think it's about time that somebody talk about it. So today, we're talking about unfulfilled Kickstarters, angry customers, lawsuits galore, and of course, ending it off with some Twitter warrior nonsense. So without further ado, guys, what the hell happened?
Gay. Very gay.
Woke-ish, not fully woke, but you know, they're left-wing. They're smart enough not to flaunt it like Watsy did.
And this was honestly the point in doing this research where I would it was a crime. I just felt bad for all of these people.
Okay, so how did Sandy get on my radar? Although I do like Call of Cthulhu, I don't know enough about it to know its history, and I had no idea who Sandy Petersen was up until a couple weeks ago. So, how did you get on my radar? It wasn't Call of Cthulhu, it was Doom. I was just browsing on social media when I saw a meme about Doom's story. How the original story was very simple and the new story is very complex. Sandy Petersen responded to this meme. Okay, looky here, whippersnapper. I wrote the original Doom backstory.
So this is him saying it again. Oh, it's Cabrutus. He went after Cabrutus.
First off, it's not to blow demons back to hell. Second, well, I got nothing else. You hit the nail on the head. Cute response. Went pretty viral, though. 80,000 plus likes on Twitter. But, you might notice that there's one of those neat little community notes at the bottom. Literally the
Cabrutus cameo, that's right.
To the Twitter app that is any good. And this community note has some interesting context, courtesy of another one of Doom's developers, John Romero. Hi, Sandy. I hope you're doing well. However, you are incorrect. That
yes.
Paul wrote the story for Doom long before you joined id Software in September of 1993. Already 9 months into production. Summarizing Tom's story in 2 sentences does not equal writing the Doom story, not by a long shot.
So that's a different one than I read. So he's lied twice, and the same person, the OG, has come in and been like, Petersen, you're wrong. You're a liar. How about that?
Yeah, awkward. Sandy Petersen taking a little bit too much credit.
One thing I've noticed about Sandy Petersen, too, is he will not engage with anyone on there. So, I mean, I'm a little shitter, and I said stuff even in a tweet where he was saying something about me just joking. You know, I said, no, I didn't know who you were. But if you want to talk about it, you know, we can talk about it. I've added him, or not added him. I've like reposted and commented on his stuff a couple of times. He hasn't said a word to me. In that response from Romero, there's no response to it whatsoever. No refuting, no fighting back, just silence.
For someone else's work. Now, normally, this would be just a little footnote in the story, especially given what we're about to talk about. However, I made this an entire section because John Romero, this guy is on demon time. He's a former developer of id Software, just like Sandy Petersen, and Romero has his own fascinating history with Doom and Wolfenstein that I don't have time to get into right now. But the point is that these two former id developers, they've been beefing for a while. Every time Sandy Petersen pops up to say anything about Doom, John Romero is there over his shoulder watching him, just waiting to correct anything that Sandy says. This level of pettiness is something I have to respect. Doom 2 was a quickie cash grab to use some assets from the first game and give the designers something to do while Quake was being built. So when I complain about Doom 2, please know I am fully aware that Quake was well worth it. Doom 2 followed a long pattern of id development. It was a retail sequel to our previous game, just like Spear of Destiny was a retail release of Wolf 3D. Same with our Keen games. It wasn't a cash grab or something. I hope you're doing well. This is inaccurate.
Holy shit! Let's fucking go.
Before he left the project in August of accurate. Your job was only E2 and E3. You were new to level design. I owned the first episode. JC never said. To clarify, this is incorrect. We gave the license to Reaper Miniatures, and they produced an entire collection for sale in 1997. Romero does this a lot. And again, this is just some social media beefing between two game devs. It's funny, but it's not nearly as much of a big deal as what we're about to talk about. The reason why I'm including it at the top here is because, one, it's how I figured out the story existed, but two, it acts as a bit of foreshadowing. You see, Sandy, he has a bit of a theme with his, let's generously call them, misremembrances when it comes to Doom. He often explodes his own importance when it comes to the game development and downplays the involvement of many of his team members. This isn't what he does in every single one of his posts, and let me make it clear, when Romero calls him out, Sandy does sometimes respond and admit that he made an error in his initial claims.
Oh, an error. We continue to constantly make errors in exactly what's going on. So how does anyone believe anything this guy says when he talks about D&D? All because he made an RPG that I'm not even sure he's actually working with anymore. They just put his name on it because he was the main designer.
However, it is troubling that somebody would act like this in game design. I mean, this sort of egotistical...
What did that one say? Boop. I thought Tom Hall wrote the original Doom Bible. He did, and then I did not have access to it when I wrote the manual for the original D&D. Yeah.
However, it is troubling that somebody would act like this in game design. I mean, this sort of egotistical me mentality is common in a lot of creative industries, unfortunately. But in game design, an industry where so much is going wrong, literally 24/7, where things are incredibly complex and incredibly expensive, it is crucial that developers are unified, that they're working together. If you trace bad game development to anything, it's usually this sort of conflict, this sort of me mentality. And that's both for video games and for tabletop games. If Sandy is carrying this kind of mentality publicly on his social media, publicly getting Twitter noted for misremembering how the development of Doom went, then how bad is it at his own company? Well, yeah, that's what this video is about.
Sandy Petersen
right.
allegedly screwed over some people, but do you know who will never screw you over? Today's sponsor.
This video is sponsored by adding more.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do.
Supporting our sponsors does support us. Without further ado,
What a bad memory. Yep.
before we get started, it's time for the legal segment. I am not alleging any legal wrongdoing on the part of Petersen Games or Sandy Petersen. I am simply conveying information shared by customers and former employees about the company and its face. Many of these allegations would not constitute illegal behavior, even if true. I am not accusing this company or person of any legal wrongdoing. Okay, Sandy? Okay, we're gonna be okay. Let's do this. Enter Petersen Games, founded in the early 2010s by one Sandy Petersen. Yeah, this guy does not work at Chaosium right now. Those are the guys that are currently heading up Call of Cthulhu. Sandy Petersen did create the game, but is not currently his project. Petersen Games has been his focus for the last, over a decade. And Petersen Games, let me make it clear, while they didn't make Call of Cthulhu, they have made some incredibly popular games, including Cthulhu Wars, which was crowdfunded on Kickstarter to the tune of over $1 million. Petersen Games loves crowdfunding on Kickstarter. Petersen himself has gone on record to say that we're in the golden age of tabletop because of print on demand, because of crowdfunding, because of Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with him there. So he isn't, actually working with them. His name is just on it because he was the, main designer and founder of it. What a fucking surprise. He may have made it, but he hasn't been a part of its creative process in years. According to his wiki, he left in 1988. So has he had any hand in it since then?
So I did a little Kickstarter of this. I thought it would make like $150,000, $200,000, and that would help support me while I was in India. And instead, it boomed up to over $1 million. I have to manage this Kickstarter, and then that turned into the Petersen Games.
Most of these big projects, especially stuff like Cthulhu Wars, they went well. They were funded, they were developed, and then the backers got the game that they bought. What's supposed to happen. However, even with early development of Cthulhu Wars, there were some things that made me raise my eyebrows, let's just say. Like, for example, if you look at the timeline of Cthulhu Wars development and release cycle, and you look at their crowdfunding history, you'll notice that Petersen Games was crowdfunding for Onslaught 2, a Cthulhu Wars expansion, while they were still working on shipping out Cthulhu Wars.
Launched in 10 and they weren't completely done even shipping the first Cthulhu Wars, because once again, that kind of ended in January 2016.
They hadn't finished one Kickstarter before they started the next Kickstarter. That's really ambitious. It's not unheard of for companies to work on multiple projects at one time, and luckily, it looks like, for the most part, all of these packages, all of these games, they went out to the people that bought them. I did notice that some people in Australia, however, just straight up didn't get their games. This is actually a theme with Petersen Games. You see, if you pay attention to their comments on many of their Kickstarters, you'll notice that they get like thousands upon thousands of comments on some of their Kickstarters. And if you see a really high volume like that, it's usually because backers are pissed because they're not getting their packages.
Here's the problem with Kickstarters and stuff like that. It's great. There's been tons of really great board games that have come out from Kickstarters. I just got finished playing Nemesis. My daughter was playing with us for the first time. We're at my brother-in-law's house. Great game, fun to play. Never seen anyone have a problem with getting their games. But for every success, there's tons of failures and people who never got to see it. Or you even talk about the scams and the people. It's really big when you get into, say, the MMO genre, where these people think they can crowdfund a couple $100,000 and make an MMO. But
Yes. For example, there's a Cthulhu Wars expansion where a lot of the comments are in German because people in Germany haven't gotten their Cthulhu Wars expansion.
Now, I was looking a little bit at this. I didn't see much, but it does look like the Petersen's company was suing the company that does their shipping and stuff like that. I don't know. There's a problem between them. Somehow they also got dropped. I don't know the full thing of it, so I hope we can get in that. Yep, aren't backers the backbone of this project? I think I can see why some might get pissed. Oh yeah, 100%. If you pay your money into this and they say they can complete it and then they don't complete it, oof, it's like the worst that can happen. But you see that what some of these people will do, even when they're failing, is they'll keep making Kickstarters. They'll keep jumping it up, and most people don't follow them to the next one, because once you get burned by a Kickstarter, you don't go back to that same guy. So new people get pulled in. Now, is this what's happening here? Yet to be seen.
And guys, it's been nigh on a decade since this Kickstarter. There are still comments on that Kickstarter to this day saying that they're not getting their product. In fact, the most recent comment on that Kickstarter is from 28 days ago, and it just says this: "This company is a scam." And this is during like the good era. This is when Petersen Games is at their peak. They're most successful. I mean, like I said before, Cthulhu Wars is a massively successful game, and for good reason. A lot of people really, really love it. And while
I actually almost did buy Cthulhu Wars. I was looking for a new board game, and that was one of the ones that was like in the pack that I was looking at to get. I ended up getting Eldritch Horrors instead.
While many customers overseas are very frustrated by how Petersen Games has been handling the distribution, it wasn't enough noise to like crush their business. However, these more minor controversies, they are sprinkled throughout many of Petersen Games' projects. For example, Startropolis is a board game with a lot of intricate pieces where you build like a space station, and many of the Kickstarter comments report that the pieces are just a tad faulty. But also, I saw a lot of reports of people never getting their orders, but like par for the course at this point.
Jesus, really?
That big of a deal. There was also a big controversy with an Easter egg project that they ran where you would get Easter eggs with some of their minis. And allegedly, overseas backers had to file tickets in order to get their stuff shipped to them at all. Yeah, in order to get your shipment, you had to file a support ticket. Oh, there was also a 5e supplement that was advertised directly on Critical Role. I remember this being advertised on their stream, and I thought it was really interesting because, again, like I said, I like Cthulhu. So I was interested in this
Oh, is this it?
Cthulhu supplement for 5th edition. Guess what? If you go to the comments on that Kickstarter, holy crap, it's a firestorm. Allegations of shoddy packaging and missing items, and many people claiming they just straight up never got the book. These are from 5 years ago, and there's no responses to any of these backers. I guess customer service is not one of those priorities at Petersen Games. Never received this. Hi, please update. Haven't received anything. Thanks.
Is this Cthulhu that you can't even buy anymore? Does he link it? Like, please say you link it. Wild Magic to your table. Romaro versus Sandy. Forum presents Petersen lawsuit. Oh, he's going to go over the lawsuit. He doesn't look like he has a link to. We may look at some of this sauce here too. Dude, this guy just seems less and less like a legend the more I find out about him.
There are just never-ending comments of people saying this across many of their projects. And again, this is the good part. Right before the pandemic, Petersen Games started putting out a lot of Kickstarters, like a lot of them. And keep in mind, it's not like Petersen Games does this normal thing where they release a Kickstarter, fulfill the Kickstarter, finish the Kickstarter, then do another one. No. They had a habit of doing a bunch of Kickstarters all in a relatively short span of time, and then just hoping they can fulfill them all over time.
And when you see these dates, it really kind of feels like they're trying to get cash to push other stuff out, because they really were churning out projects in 2019.
They just kept on putting out Kickstarters without worrying, producing these games and getting them out to the people who bought them. So in this span of time,
so it sounds like he spent all of his Cthulhu Wars money and didn't think about, maintaining enough to actually create new stuff. Yeah, this sounds like really bad management monetization.
You got games like Hyperspace, Eternal Adversary, Glorantha, and again, these games are being put out on Kickstarter, fully funded to the tune of hundreds of
He must have forgot again. Dang it, Sandy. Dang it, your poor memory.
thousands of dollars, and then the backers just sit on their hands and wait for years upon years upon years. This is where things get really bad. By this point in the timeline, late 2010s, entering into the 2020s, Petersen Games, Sandy himself, has so many Kickstarters that are just sitting yet unfulfilled. Backers waiting in trepid anticipation for the games that they bought, for the tune of hundreds of dollars, by the way. These aren't cheap little products. This isn't you buying a Monopoly board for $30. No. These games cost up to hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, board games and Kickstarters are never fucking cheap because people who want board games want all the miniatures and all the shit with it. Let's not even talk about like a game that I do want that I'll probably never be able to afford, Kingdom Death Monster. And it's Kingdom Death Monster Nemesis, the one I was just talking about. Super pricey game if you wanted, when it first came out, if you wanted all the miniatures and all the other stuff. Even with the second game, there was more miniatures and more pieces and more things like that. And the third game has come out. But you notice how they did one game and then they did the next one. And then after they fulfilled, they did the next one. It's called good business practices. Backers are your customers. It's unwise to piss them off, right? Exactly.
The highest package rewards. You could buy a PS5 for some of these prices. And yet, backers are not getting what they paid for. And in my opinion, they're getting reasonably pissed off about it. I saw multiple interviews with Sandy Petersen where the comments are flooded with angry backers asking, hey, where's my product? Why am I not getting what I paid for? It's rough. Petersen's reputation went from the guy who developed Call of Cthulhu and Doom to the guy who's failing to fulfill the promises that he made to his customers. So what's he gonna do? This is a really bad position to be in. Most Kickstarters that go unfulfilled, the company's only handling like one Kickstarter at a time. This company, they're handling like many all at once. So what's Petersen's play? Well, Petersen Games and Sandy Petersen himself took a very interesting approach by laying off 70% of their staff.
Holy shit.
Okay. This was not a good sign for customers who, need I remind you, in 2022 are still waiting for their books. But it was an even worse sign for the employees who are now out of work. George Pateo, former sales manager at Petersen Games, had a very damning account of the situation. I wish the separation would have been under better circumstances. Although they knew Tessa, my wife, was in active labor, my bosses requested a meeting with me less than an hour after our son was born. Since Tessa and Grayson were still in a danger zone, I declined that meeting until later that night. That night, I found out that I was officially being laid off, with my last paycheck being in 1 week. To add insult to injury, the July paycheck we were promised multiple times if this layoff was to happen wasn't coming. In short, they promised us a July paycheck if they had to lay us off and then reneged on that promise. I was taken aback and
Ooh, that is not good. I don't know that that is fully legal. Uh-oh. Did I just accidentally close that motherfucker? I did. I was so shocked at that I ended up closing the damn not very legendary at all. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, playlist. Let's get back to this guy.
That night, I found out that I was officially being laid off, with my last paycheck being in 1 week. To add insult to injury, the July paycheck we were promised multiple times if this layoff was to happen wasn't coming. In short, they promised us a July paycheck if they had to lay us off and then reneged on that promise. I was taken aback and extremely upset, but too tired to care at the moment since we were exhausted and dealing with our newborn son. Not only that, but I had to scramble for work to plug the gap, losing my expected paternity leave and having to start putting hours in right away instead of having a small transition period to help Tessa, Grayson, and I recover.
That's fucked.
My manager was on vacation the same week we were all getting laid off, instead of making sure all details with each employee's positions were checked, and now he wants me to complete tasks free of charge.
This is why you should never blindly praise legendary people, because people make mistakes like this. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, is it even like a mistake? I mean, obviously this is business management, but we've seen where the guy is gassing himself up about being this legend in the industry, with other legends calling him a liar. Like, this guy doesn't seem like he's a legend at anything. It seems like he's a fucking tourist masquerading as a legend.
After my last day, I have advised I will happily help for my contractor fee, which will be paid up front. In short, things could have been totally different if I had been handled better on leadership end, and I refuse to curtail my worth as a worker, the value of my work, or the value of my family and our time together because of a company's poor planning. Thank you to everyone who I've worked with that made this job rewarding and insightful. Shame on Petersen Games. Of course, Petersen Games did have to respond, and they responded very, very professionally in their official Discord server.
Oh, no, not a Discord server.
Hi, all. I apologize that one of our...
Well, okay. Also, Light Grums. Oh, is it? Shit. Oh, thank you. Oh, it must have closed out. Thank you for pointing out that I'm a rookie at this. Where is it? Where is it? Let me make sure it's off so I don't show the wrong thing. There we go. There he is.
Employees' anger at how the layoff went is now starting to be publicly known. Let me say a few quick things, and then hopefully I can answer.
Okay, I've seen y'all say like this is very Grums-like and things like that. He's at least put out one game, so I'll give him that. He's just tried to put out 100 other projects, it seems.
Any question in the next few days.
I was even looking on here, so I've been looking. I'm looking for these Kickstarters that he's doing. This comment right here. Let's see if I can get on it. Where was it? Oh, most of these are in German. It's been 4 months since we relaunched our online presence. They're talking about shipping it. Where was it? Oh, here. So I finally got the core box of the Nova expansion today, only 5 years too late, and definitely not worth the $300 I sank into this. The cardboard is very cheap. I really wanted the plastic figures I paid for. Anyone here that has the files so that I can print them myself and have a more decent game? Woo, buddy.
Guys, I'm really sorry that the anger of our employee had to be seen by you, the public. You know, the peasantry weren't supposed to speak up about this. The Discord messages that they sent after that are very long, and I don't care enough to read them word for word, so I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. Petersen Games denies there was any sort of stifled payment. So at this point, it's a he said, she said versus Petersen Games and this former sales manager. They also claim that these layoffs were entirely needed because otherwise they'd have to fold the company entirely, which okay, they're clearly not in a good position. It's worse than we thought.
Oh my God.
Now, the promise of getting those games that you paid for, it's looking worse and worse by the day. It gets somehow even crappier for Petersen Games, though, as they also made sure to clarify that Sandy Petersen didn't just lay off 70% of his staff. He also had to lay off his own child.
What? You bet they got a lot of hate for this video. Let's take a look. Joe Romano starting to reply, "Hi Sandy, hope you're doing well," is like Columbo hitting the serial killer with with just one more thing. As an older guy who got his start in PC gaming back in the doomed glory days, believe me when I say people have been saying, "Shut up, Sandy," longer than you've been alive. He's never been liked. Sandy Petersen is basically Tommy Tellerico. Of the Tommy Tellerico Studios fame. Oh, Jesus. Ooh, if you don't know who Tommy Tellerico is, he tried to bring back an old gaming system and ended up scamming everybody out of money. He's also a guy that likes to gas up his actual what he did in those words. Yes, that was the G4 guy. He also Smash JT is one of the guys that bought in big time. In fact, rode in Tommy Tellerico's car. Oh, Jesus. John Romano correcting the self-inflation on Twitter is hilarious to me. A level of pettiness I aspire to be won't ever have energy. Oh yeah, we're gonna finish this, but I wanna point something out here, as I've been looking off screen while listening. Look at all these Kickstarter projects. See more? Cthulhu World Combat, Last Days of the Cthulhu Wars, Sandy Patterson, 400% funded. Cthulhu Wars Espanol, Cthulhu Wars Dutch, Theomancy, Return to Castle Destin. This one's been canceled. Cthulhu Wars Onslaught 2, Sandy Petersen's Mythos for Pathfinder. Let's take a look at this one. Ooh, 2,500. Hold on. Let's go back. Campaign. When was this campaign started? Story. Am I just missing it? It's usually at the top. We back this project. Estimated delivery date December 2016. Let's see how they did with that. I realize I'm pretty late to the game for making this comment, but I am disappointed. I supported this was 6 years ago. I supported this campaign and received my book in 2018. Was supposed to be put out again 2000. Whoops. Boop. Let's go back. Was supposed to be put out in 2016. Estimated delivery date. Person got it in 2018. Flipping through the book, I was delighted at all the excellent art. Being an artist in the gaming industry, I was delighted in the art, and then I got to the bestiary. Here was the huge disappointment. Sandy Petersen's name has always been attached to quality material. The fact that this bestiary is filled with photographs of painted miniatures instead of art is just sloppy and cheap. What the fuck? Meanwhile, I recently bought a PDF copy of the 5th edition Mythos, and it's full of new art. The fact that they could not be bothered to do this for the printed book is disappointing and is not up to the standards expected by your company. Holy shit, still haven't gotten my copy either. Have emailed Petersen twice regarding it, no replies. Was the Pathfinder version of this book ever released? I am sure I supported this project and never received anything. Anyone make a record sheet for this? Thanks. Enjoyed the book greatly. So this guy liked it. Correction on my last. Handgun is used against Golfkick, the form. Okay. After a quick update, saying the future is definitely improved. So they put out shit and then updated the printed or the PDF version. Oh.
Oh my god! Mass layoffs like this are never good, but it's clear that Petersen Games did not handle this well. Look, I'm not expecting that they're gonna have, I don't know, the birth of someone's son in their calendar or something like that, but I mean, God, laying him off the night of, demanding he be in a meeting while his son is being born?
I'm starting to notice a pattern of connection. Yeah.
What are you guys doing over
My pattern recognition is going off. The problem is I can look at the proof that's actually here and come to a decision.
there? Like, there's a human cost to this kind of stuff, and it's not being paid attention to at Petersen Games. Now, going back to, the products they're supposed to be shipping out, Petersen Games was still working on that. They had a bunch of partners over the years they were trying to work with, but the one that seemingly worked out was a company called Quimbly's Games.
Yes.
They're a little
I found this on my, when I was going through it, because there were some problems with Quimbly Games.
seemingly worked out was a company called Quimbly's Games. They're a little guy, but they did apparently help Petersen Games put out the 4th Onslaught expansion for Cthulhu Wars. So they've done this before. They've helped Sandy out, and if they got that product out, then maybe they can help with the rest of the products. All those Kickstarters that are yet going unfulfilled, they're going to be fulfilled by the work of Quimbly's.
They also are going to, as part of our deal, we're going to fulfill all the Kickstarters, and the very next one in line is going to be Hyperspace.
The dream is that Petersen Games is no longer going to be handling the production, and they'll just be handling the design end of the game, whereas Quimbly handles producing, printing, and shipping them out. This sounds like it'll work. It took a long road to get here. It took 70% of the company's employees being laid off. It took backers waiting years upon years for their promised games, but hey, Petersen Games is finally taking meaningful steps to putting these products out there. Thank God. That would be, of course, unless the partnership with Quimbly's Games fell through.
Oh, no.
What Link said about the relationship between Quimbly's and Petersen Games coming to an end is true, despite Sandy and my diligent effort to keep that plan going. This has happened for a variety of reasons we can't delve into due to legal issues surrounding the game. Link is also correct that we are doing all of this so we can ensure that the existing inventory of Hyperspace will be shipped out from the factory. Though we do not have a timeline on that right now, Petersen Games did not relinquish our intellectual property as a part of any deal with Quimbly's, and we do not expect there will be any credible claims for the same. Oh boy, possible legal issues. This partnership really went down the drain, didn't it? They did say that Hyperspace, one of the games that has gone yet unfulfilled, that has been printed and shipped out, and we'll get back to that. Don't worry, we're coming back to it. But for now, let's talk about the Quimbly's partnership. Wouldn't be the first time for Petersen Games. They have sued people before. They sued PayPal for allegedly withholding some money. They sued one of their German partners for some production issues as well.
He's a lawsuit happy guy too. Yay!
I don't know how either of these lawsuits went. Hell, I don't even really know if they're gonna sue Quimbly. In fact, beyond that, I do want to clarify that statement was allegedly posted to the Petersen Games Discord server, a server I do not have access to. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. But Quimbly's themselves, they posted a statement very publicly, not hidden on their Discord server, but just like on the internet. And yeah, they had some interesting things to say too. We started out looking closely into what had been promised to the backers and how much it would cost to fulfill in the real world. The prices they had paid on the Kickstarter would barely cover production on one of the more complicated games, let alone shipping costs and having any profit left over. There were so many plastic miniatures in the game that tooling alone was a crippling financial burden that would cripple the merchandise line commercially before anything else was even produced. What we thought would catapult us into the stratosphere turned out to be digging our grave. That's Stephen Human from Quimbly's. That's obviously just their perspective on this whole.
What a surprise. Miniature games are stupid expensive. This seems like what Sandy is trying to do here is he's trying to put out as much content as he can, hoping something will hit, right? I guess the, residual payments from Call of Cthulhu just aren't cutting the bills. So he's having to try and find something that'll make him money. And I guess Cthulhu Wars just wasn't big enough.
Situation. And of course, the split seemingly did not end well. So there's a bit of bias there. The incompetence of Sandy Petersen and Petersen Games seems to be akin to a black hole, dragging in all around it. Not only has it decimated his customers, his employees, his partners, his son, it's also screwed over this guy's company. Allegedly. This is just... oh my god. Mismanagement on a next level. Now, we're gonna go back to hyperspace now, because only a couple months ago, right here in good year 2025, Petersen Games did ship out hyperspace. They even did an unboxing video on their YouTube channel. The comments are turned off.
Oh no.
Now, hyperspace's release. At the very least, we have that. But there are still issues. If you go to the Kickstarter, you will see many still angry backers. Angry that the pieces are cheap cardboard, angry at the production quality in general. They're angry about shoddy boxing. Some people are even complaining about missing product. One guy claimed that they didn't even get, like, the entire guidebook. Oh
Jesus.
my god. They couldn't even do this right.
1 hour later.
Hey, I'm just tuning in post-recording. But there is so much I didn't talk about in this section. Like, I dug in just a little deeper and found so many more skeletons in the closet of Petersen Games. Allegations of mismanaged money. There were allegations that they doxed American backers.
Petersen Games has just released a whole bunch of personal information of a lot of US backers by accident, and I need to tell you about it.
It doesn't stop.
What?
Stop. And the worst part is that if you go to their Kickstarter...
Hold on, I need that.
Eternal Adversary, Glorantha, Dinosaur 1944, Return to Planet Apocalypse. Like, the list doesn't end. You go through comment after comment after
by accident and...
King of the average.
Glorantha, Dinosaur 1944, Return to Planet Apocalypse. Like, the list doesn't end. You go through comment after comment after comment of people asking, hey, are we gonna get this? And the answer is...
no.
Like, obviously, when you back a Kickstarter, you're backing a promise. There's no guarantee. But it is so frustrating that these guys can open up Kickstarter after Kickstarter after Kickstarter, and there's no promise that these guys are actually going to get the product that they're owed. Like, I want to make it clear. It's not like these projects are canceled officially. There's still a reality somewhere out there in the multiverse where in the future, Petersen Games fulfills these projects. But, like, would it even matter?
How do you get doxxed by accident? I have no idea. I have no idea how you do that.
Screwed over people over and over and over again. Delayed for nigh on half a decade for some of these projects. And now they've lost all the faith of their customers. It just doesn't stop, man.
A legend, by the way, a legend in the industry, lying about how lying about what his role was in Doom, saying he's, avid on D&D and that he's written for D&D when all he has done is make a supplement through a Kickstarter, lawsuits, and mismanaged after mismanaged Kickstarter. Man, this guy is... I'm so glad that I found out he wasn't a tourist.
Anyway, I guess I'm going to talk about his...
Oh no, don't tell me it did it. Hold on one second, guys. This headphone's sighing. My favorite Sandy type tweet is him lying about Doom and Romero coming to correct him. Yeah, he showed just how many times Romero has come in and corrected him. And someone sent me that later. It's actually what got me started looking deeper into him. This is just hilarious lore.
Twitter nonsense now. Yay. Twitter, the platform currently known as Twitter. Sandy Petersen really needs to get off this damn app because holy crap. A lot of people who are outside of his audience of board gamers, they know him from his nonsense takes. And yeah, he has quite a few fascinating ones.
Some of the
No shit. Grums was calling out Romero for using pronouns. Failed game devs love to hate on people that are successful and actually considered legends.
Guys at Chaosium are woke-ish, not fully woke, but you know, they're left-wing. They're smart enough not to flaunt it like Watsy did.
He wrote under an article about colonization in certain board games and the themes of colonialism in certain board games that he's very upset because they're never gonna stop him from colonizing an age of colonialism. Like, okay, dude, no one's trying to stop you. Relax, you can still play your board games. This article is just analyzing those themes and how they're developed in the narrative of these games. I don't think
funny.
it's anything that you need to get upset over. Move on, man.
Well, I doubt that he actually read it. I've come to notice that when these people will post things, they won't actually read them, even the big name guys. And you go in there and you read it for yourself, and the context is much different from what they're saying.
But beyond that, he has also ranted about transgender people, ranting about how transgender athletes are gonna beat up his granddaughters in track and field. Which, look, I'm glad that he's showing concern for his family. I wonder if he showed the same concern when he laid off his son. I should note here that Petersen's take on transgender people was so bad that Chaosium, the current developers of Call of Cthulhu, had to put out a statement affirming their support for transgender people. He's also
he's putting out some good information. I mean, he's actually even sourced it, so you might not like him, but he's making good points about Sandy here.
About Native American people, by the way. This one's a recent take. He said that Native American people shouldn't worry about this land being stolen because Sandy Petersen thinks that first-generation immigrants are American as long as they did it right. And if that's true, the Native American people don't get to complain because the people who came here and colonized America, they were first-generation immigrants too. And Petersen, I have to break this to you. I know this might hurt your feelings, but the people who came to America and colonized it way back when, they didn't just check in here. They did some other things. Some other very, very, very bad things. Comparing first-generation immigrants to, Christopher Columbus, it's insane. It's the weirdest checkmate liberals I have ever seen and is completely antithetical to real history. Finally, of course, he has most recently released a take on wheelchairs in fantasy, getting irrationally upset about a picture of a person in a wheelchair in one of the most recent D&D books. And Sandy, I really don't know how to tell this to you, but you are 70 years old. You are going to be in a wheelchair soon, so I really don't know why you're complaining about this. In any case, look, these takes...
I've thought about that wheelchair stuff and things like that, and everyone who talks about the wheelchair and the magic of D&D sound like fucking tourists when they talk about it. If you go into any of the books and look at it, the average cost of what the spell that they refer to is regeneration. It's a 7th level spell. 7th level spells are incredibly expensive. They're even more expensive in 2024. I don't know why they felt the need to, I guess, do that. So yeah, the idea that some commoner or some small time person in a keep can afford to have a cleric do it, or that there are even that many clerics that can actually cast the spell regeneration, is just not equal with the lore. These people think that there's just campaigns are just full of people going around healing and raising from the dead and all this other fucking stuff. Bloodborne had someone in the wheelchair and still kicked my ass as a boss. Right, exactly. And then I started to think, so we're going to go off on a little tangent here. I was like, okay, because I mocked it, right? I think it's funny. It's easy to mock. But then I was like, okay, I am a game master. I've been a game master for years. If someone wanted to do this at my table, how would I think that it works from a player perspective and from a dungeon master perspective? And the thing is yeah, it's going to be hard in the beginning because you're adding on an extra level of difficulty to yourself, right? Going out into the woods traveling and things like that are going to be much harder. I hate to tell people though, there are fucking military dudes, barbarians out there that bear with me, that can fucking move. Of course, I'm not ready for it, so I'm not going to be able to look any up. Workout. See if I can find some. Of course I can't, but I used to watch a lot of military videos, like around the guys like more like a gay master, like the guys who do Black Rifle Coffee and stuff like that. And they have a friend of theirs who is in a wheelchair. He has no legs. Sometimes he uses the walk around legs. That dude is a fucking beast. I think it can work as long as it's written within logical perspective around the world building laws. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, think about it. If you're going to, if you chose a mage, right? You chose a mage by level, it's easier than being able to regenerate your legs. Fly spell. Now, fly spell only lasts about 10 minutes, but it works in a fight. And the more powerful you get as a wizard, the more you can do. You could even write into something where the wizard uses their chair as their staff and they can build stuff into it. There's always a way to write it into the lore. The teleport, like someone in a wheelchair could teleport away and use ranged magic and crazy magic stuff. Oh, absolutely. You could use the fly spell. You could use levitate. You could blink. You could misty step. I mean, there's 100 ways to move around and make it work, right? So even in a wheelchair, if they're just basic moving, Professor X can mess up a lot of people. That's what I was getting to. It's like, by the end of the campaign, do you even need legs? Because you are basically the most powerful person in the room, casting fireballs on everybody and, changing the laws of physics at your whim. Like, is it that big a deal that you're in a wheelchair? This talk reminds me of the anti-wokes complaining about Greek gods on wheelchair. Yeah. War Machine wheelchair. I mean, there's so many ways you could do it. A druid could have a magical wheelchair that grows freaking tree legs and walks around. It's limitless. It's limitless on what can be done with this. But, people with small minds or people who want to sound like tourists will just say, oh, that's not realistic. Well, neither is the vast majority of things that happen in D&D.
They're stupid. They're dumb. It's old man rants at clouds about dumb things. But they're not the core of this video. I think, if anything, they just show her as priorities.
But uncreative people need those limits. True.
Has a lot of irons in the fire. A lot of projects that, in case you forgot, they're not fulfilled, like, to this day. Like, yeah, you got that one space game out there in subpar quality, but still, you got that out there. There's still more. And instead of, going insular, focusing on the business, focusing on whatever employees he still has left, this is what he spends much of his time doing. This guy posts on Twitter, and I think priorities are a big part of what make the story overall so frustrating. Not necessarily the Twitter warrior stuff. Again, that's more of an addendum, but just in general, I think there's this fight between creatives and business, right? We saw during the James Somerton story a business major who blatantly disrespected creatives, disrespected writers. We saw that again during the AI YouTuber Slop video. We see it over and over again, the way business people trod on creatives. But here, Sandy Petersen, he's a creative. Okay, whatever his faults, he has made and worked on some really incredible, amazing games. He just doesn't know how to, get them out there to the customers that bought them. But, and I don't know how else to say this, that's part of the biz, man. You could be as creative as you want, but at the end of the day, you are running a business. You have a responsibility to your customers, to your employees. All right, it's great that you can make an awesome game, but if you can't handle producing that game, printing that game, shipping that game, paying your employees properly, not laying off 70% of your staff, if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be doing this business at all. Sandy Petersen wants to just develop games and not worry about the biz end, but the biz end is part of this, and he ignored those responsibilities for way too long, to the point where it screwed over so many people around him, allegedly. It's just, it's very deeply frustrating too, because Petersen's 70 years old, man. Like, can you believe that? Like, this guy should be 5 years into retirement age by now, but instead, this is what he's doing? Heading up a sinking ship of a company? Ranting about Native Americans and transgender people on Twitter? Unlike everyone else I've covered on the series, I really do hope that Sandy Petersen stops, hangs out with his grandkids, gets off Twitter, does something with this sinking ship of a company. Because at this point, he's 70. I want him to live a good life because he's running out of time to do it. In any case, that was a depressing end, but so ends this episode of Critical Failure. If you guys enjoyed and want to see more of our content, then check out this episode.
There we go. Such an interesting video. The more I find out about this guy, the more I just realize, yeah, I was right to call him a tourist, even though I didn't know who he was. Come on. So I've seen some of these other videos. Now, this is like from 4 years ago. This is the average
Thank you to
gamer guy. Hold on. Okay, he's a legendary failure. Let's give him that. No kidding. He makes Grums look like a successful dev. Like, yes, he's put out, 2 board games? One of them fucking a disaster, it seems like. People are... Is there a most updated version? Holy shit. Even with this book, this is the 5e book, new rules, new monsters, new spells, etc. The definitive guide by Sandy Petersen. This isn't official. This is him using the OGL, which people are allowed to use. But look here. I never got my physical book. Anyone gotten it? Still no updates on the physical book. This is 10 months ago. As of today, I paid a pretty penny for the leather-bound book. No, they bait and switch a bunch of backers. I emailed them about it a few years ago and got a snarky reply. Never trust these clowns again. God damn it. Good to know. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm never backing this group again. Has this been delivered 3 years ago? Did anyone get any of these guys? Are these guys responding to anyone's messages? Hi, apologies. I appear to have been under a rock for the last 2 years and missed my download. Is there any way to still get it? I'd like the PDF file that I bought too. Please resend as well. I would appreciate it. Well, the comments make me feel a bit better that I haven't received a book yet if most people haven't. Anyone know why? I think the publisher is having financial problems during COVID. Oh, yeah, super backer coping that it's COVID. They are still trying to get stuff out, but who knows? As a backer of this project, how do I get the most recent PDF edition? Never received this. Please update. So this goes 5 years ago. When was this supposed to be delivered? 2018. Estimated delivery. And this is just sad at this point. This is just absolutely sad. Yes, Vincent, I like to go look at people. And in fact, what got me flippant about this is someone tweeted me, or someone commented under one of the posts, one of the times that Romero has called Petersen out for being a liar. 5 years ago, still doesn't have it. Still missing a few miniatures. I feel sorry for the people that do not receive their book yet. A few miniatures. You should have gotten all the miniatures in one go. Like, I wonder if everyone's gotten their stuff yet, or if there's still people. Oh yeah, Grum's got mad at me for speaking the truth. Oh man. So I was gonna watch this. This is from about 4 years ago. This is the King of Average guy. So I wanted to see what he says about Petersen games. Oh God. Appreciate this video a lot. I'm $600 deep in this campaign. It's over a year with no delivery in sight. I'm happy to see content creators starting to bring attention to PG's lack of regard for backers. Keep it going.
Partner. Looking for a Kickstarter game you missed or 3D printed minis? GameWork Create has a huge selection available, all at a fair price. Use the link in the description below to check out all that GameWork Create has to offer. Let's see. Can't start the video like this. You know that, right? I can't do the whole video like that. Oh, thank you. I'm trying to record, guys. Hello. You just gonna help me out? Yeah. There you are. I'm trying, guys. We'll get there. Don't worry. Just need some attention. Whew. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't sit on my head. Get off me.
Okay. Okay, let's get to the meat.
What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to be talking about making games, not campaigns, / Sandy Petersen, but I feel that's the same subject anyway, so we'll just go ahead and talk about it.
Otherwise, is the personal opinion. It should not be an absolute fact. Heck, you can even disagree with me.
Alright, now if Jasper will let me, I'm going to thank my patrons and YouTube members, as I always do, for their financial support. It is through them that much of this channel is possible, especially the independence of it, and that's because I take zero money from any game developer, so that I can give you my honest opinion and not my wallet's opinion. If you appreciate that and can give, there's a link down below. Of course, there's also some giveaways. There's some play sessions. I'm going to be playing Chronicles of Drunagar with them. I'm going to be giving away Chronicles of Drunagar with them. You'll hear about both of those in the review because I do full transparency. So, again, if you appreciate that, link down below. Without further ado, though, let's just go ahead and get into it. And you can like the video if you like it or whatever. That's fine. I don't know if he's going to let me do anymore. Ugh, scooting in. Oh, new shirt. Just came in today. Hope you like it. Had to buy it instantly when I saw it. Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about Sandy Petersen's Kickstarter presents. I've been wanting to probably cover this for a while. But it's a great opportunity. He's put a update here on the Cthulhu Wars, the Demon Sultan, or the Daemon Sultan, or whatever you want to say. I don't know, whatever. It's some fancy spelling of it that's not American. Here it says, here's what's going on. And he talks about what's going on. And what he's saying is essentially that he has a big opportunity to print a whole bunch of stuff and send it to retail, right? As retailers and distributors and all that. And he wants to go ahead and use this opportunity to make that deal. It would help his company out to be more independent and whatnot, and would financially secure them or whatever. And he's saying, hey, I hope that's okay. Now, he said here a few things. One of the things that's kind of interesting. He says, as of the beginning of this year, we thought we had secured a good investment, which gave us to plan to ship by the end of this month. To artist May, this fell through only recently, but I'm not told what that good investment is. A lot of people try to say that backers are investors, but investors are told business things, and we're not. Like, I don't know what that is. Maybe he explained that to his benefit before. But, so there it is, right? And now he's saying, hey, you will get your games, just don't know when. So you get no update on timeline. It's essentially indefinitely, until he defines it, that's what indefinitely is, indefinitely postponed, for you to get this. Now, a few problems with that. And I'll go through this kind of in the same way. I was asked by a patron what I thought about this. I'm now making a whole video on it. Okay, so Sandy Petersen, he got four 4,339 backers and $302,000 to this. Oh, he's also saying he's not using any of this Kickstarter money to fund it. Okay, so that retail thing, that's separately. He's using other sales. That funding is still just to deliver this. Now, I'm assuming he put it in his mattress or something. I don't know. So he has everybody's money. He took everybody's $302,250, but he's not using it yet. He's just chilling with it. Yes, you don't have it in your bank account. Yes, it's been a while, but you know what? Eventually he'll use it. Until then, he's going to
He is not just chilling. He wasn't just chilling with it back then.
other business endeavors. Now, a lot of you might already, especially if you're a fan of Sandy Petersen, might like be upset. Just hear me out, okay? Just like seriously, let's just talk through this. Don't just get upset because you hear somebody else's opinion that's alternate of your own. And by all means, at the end of this video, if you have any feedback or any like questions or want to comment or whatever, you can do so down below. I'd love to discuss this with you because we see a lot of companies act this way. Okay, so this was originally due in June of 2020, and now he's saying it's indefinitely delayed in July of 2021. Now, to make matters worse, Sandy Petersen has made 32 campaigns where he's taken money from people. To make matters worse, he has launched 8 campaigns where he's taken other people's money without delivering this one. To make it worse, because it just gets worse.
So this seems like a lot of what's going on.
Here's what's going on. Wait a second. He copy-pasted the freaking update and the one before that, which also is...
Holy shit. Let's go look at more of these Kickstarters. This is amazing. Oh, I deleted it. We got to go back. Sandy Petersen Kick. Petersen Games. God of War Kickstarter is live. So it looks like he used to have a good setting with them, but I guess there's been some stuff. So this one, updates. When was the last update? Update, surprise from Sandy. Let's see. Boom. First off, please go to this link to update your mailing address. Is this where they gave away mailing addresses? I'll wait right here while you are at that. Whistles, toes, back already. Wow. Okay, I have a reason that you do as the mystery package is being sent to your residence. Oh, this is okay. This is just finally, in case you didn't do it, I asked for the first time to please go to this link and update your information. What? Rather than doing a normal by the book press release, our new partner has something specially planned. They have a new partner. Okay, so that may have been what's the recent one? The hyper lane one. Let's see if we can find that. Petersen's creator. The funding ended in 2019. When is the last comment that happened for it? War, TTRPG, Kickstarter, crappy devs. That's right. Got to admit, this is some interesting drama. Oh, hell yeah. This is 19 hours ago. We've got what looks like Germans having problems. Then this guy, 1 day ago, 5 years too late, the $300. We saw that one. 4 days ago, 8 days ago. Any information for the German backers? 4 days ago. Yeah, more German backer problems. But we are still rebuilding our fledgling operation to be what we were from 2014 to 2021. But you weren't, though. Like, we were seeing No one cares. You've had my $119 for 6+ years. Time to deliver what I pledged for 12 hours ago for yet more money and upgraded to the next tier. To get the same to get the game is stupid. So they're already asking for more money. We're not quite back to normalcy. Yep, you're not back to normalcy after fucking 4 years. We rarely talk about what's coming next in these newsletters. We have tried to succinctly only state that which we are already underway, so imminently so. We also tend to generally keep the partner when we can reveal we are preparing our special video with Sandy talking about what happened in the past 4 years, as well as I want to know when this is released. We're gonna watch this video at some point. Any news on UK backers? That's 11 days ago. We're looking for a new hire. Petersens are looking for a new hire. Take that for what you will. From Sandy's Twitter, Petersen Games is looking for a part-time customer support professional to be hired without delay. If you're interested, submit your resume. They're looking through their backers to find French having problems, Canadians having problems, Europeans having problems, UK having problems. Oh man, let me go back to this too, because there was more under here. PayPal lawsuit, German. Open this. Struggling Cthulhu Wars. This is from 2024. Ooh. Petersen Games will cease to be published and manufactured of games following the deal, instead transitioning to a solo design studio. Petersen Games, the Cthulhu War publisher, left struggling to fulfill more than $2 million of Kickstarter projects after hitting severe financial issues during the coronavirus pandemic. Has been bailed out by fledgling board game publisher and manufacturer Quibley's Toys and Games. So this is from a year ago. Quibley's, which was lost out of Salt Lake City last year, has agreed to manufacture and fulfill all of Petersen's outstanding Kickstarter projects, starting with Hyperspace before moving on to Gorath, the God's War 2. Even Hyperspace to this point has not been fulfilled. That's crazy. $2 million in unfulfilled as of a year ago. Especially when like, how do you fix this when you have angry backers, especially when it comes to money? I would just offer refunds. They probably don't have the money to give refunds, to be honest. Petersen Games will cease being a publisher and manufacturer and only solely a design studio. So this is just talking to them about it. Explains. All right. So that is there another one about? I don't care about the Twitter controversies. Quivley's partnership. That's the one where they partnered. Okay. Then we have German shipping lawsuit. Board game publisher, and this is from 2023, claims that CCS, a large German shipping conglomerate, has for years been holding them hostage, double and triple billing for services. Okay. The total amount CCS owes Petersen regulated to equals 495,789. Was this ever resolved? Collateral, Petersen claims. Okay. So these are the claims, but has this lawsuit been Petersen Games showing jeopardy, German company. You know, it's one thing when you see like one lawsuit come up and you're like, oh, this could be happening to Petersen. But when multiple things keep happening versus, oh, what is this from? Oh, legal paperwork. Here we go. Terminated January 17th, 2014. Ooh. Oh, never mind. Notice of voluntary dismissal filed by plaintiff. The civil case was terminated without prejudice. Jesus. So he lost that case. I would like to read it, but I'm not paying that kind of money. So that case was lost. Here's the Petersen layoffs. PGE forced 70% of their staff. They considered shutting down entirely. Yeah, this is all stuff we've known. Oof, 2022. I mean, this was as far back as 2022. They were talking about shutting down. And they still haven't fulfilled, as of 2024, the majority of stuff. Holy fuck, dude. Who follows people like that? I don't understand people's like callbacks to people like Grums or this guy who have sketchy backgrounds to begin with when you start to look into them, and then have failure after failure after failure throughout their careers after they left. Because, I mean, you look at Petersen's wiki. Let's go back. It's not full of like tons of wins. It's just feels like it's dead for certain periods of time. Just absolutely. Like we go into a ton of these games, I can't even really confirm what he did with them. He may have worked on the staff, and some of them they show him, but they don't show him in the credits. Call of Cthulhu, he left the company in 1988. So what is his role? How close is he with them? I'm sure because he is the original lead artist that he has some kind of residuals coming in. Oh yeah, the money is definitely gone, Vincent, for that Kickstarter. And then this, where's his D&D fucking credentials? What all has he written for D&D? Oh, hey, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it, Blitz99. That's very helpful. I am almost to 100. I'm pretty happy about it. We are at, actually, the counter up top isn't correct. I am a little higher than that. It's like 95 now, I think. So thank you. Thank you very much. This is just like, what did he do? He's made board games since 2015. His career ended in 2011, and then he's made board games. Was he Orcs Must Die? Theomantry. Let's go check out these games on his Kickstarter. I want to see how many of them have problems. Cthulhu Wars, we already know, has problems with some of their other ones. Theomancy. I just lost it. Let's do Theomancy. Kickstarter. Copy. Da, 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 da. Boom. Not Lickstarter. Theomancy Kickstarter by Sam Petersen. This one only has it 1,000. When was this one? 7 years ago. The Kickstarter for Planet Apocalypse ends in less than 51 hours. As of this comment, here are some paint jobs for demon figures. I'm back for this $200 mainly to get a copy of the Cthulhu Wars, with which I'm very pleased. So this one seems like it went well. This game is a ton of fun, thanks. So this one seems like it did pretty well. Games. So we'll give them that. That one seems good. Let's go back here and go to creator. Look at that. He hasn't logged in like a couple of weeks. You figured he would log in more. All right. So is one of the other ones we say, Orcs Must Die. Is that one in here? 8-bit attack. Dungeon bot. Like, what the fuck is this? Canceled. Canceled game, 34% funded. Castle. Orcs Must Die. This one's not looking good. This is a confirm your address for all backers, meaning including this project that items were long ago delivered, or just for people pending items. Sorry, the mystery box. Will there be any expansions? It's not a big deal, but I only started playing Orcs Must Die Unchained on Steam with Phillips 1 hour ago. I finally got around to playing. All right, so people started to get this. Delivered pledge. Anyone get his delivered pledge in Germany? Some more problems with Germany. Can you make Cthulhu Must Die miniatures? You're right, of course. This is the point me out later. I'm sorry for misleading you. If you feel that you do not receive any items, please contact. So they're still talking about people not receiving items as far back as 9 years. Castle, yep, there's that one. Let's go back up here. Creator, no. Well, it does say in his wiki that he liked dinosaurs when he was 2. So here he is with this one. Return to Castle. That was 2016. What do we got? Can you please email support? We need your name and email address so that we can set up your pledge and I can check your pledge. Hi, I haven't received my packages yet and I have no way to contact you besides sending you guys a message on here. Hopefully you guys see it. I tried to read through the comments and I didn't see any mentions of a problem with one of my laboratory boards has. So problems with the board. I think the cards would be fine if there were 4 copies of each and you can set ones that are appreciated. There are 2 player aids. You have big enough space for cards. So some problems here. The smell gives us headaches too. And what? Sadly, I won't expect any further stuff for Destrin, even though it is desperately needed. Expansions for monsters. Today. Oh, the dice stunk, apparently. That's interesting. What was another one? Evil Priest. So it looks like the ones that he's putting on are the ones, well, Hyperspace is on here. Let's look at this newer one, Planet Apocalypse. When is that one set to go? So it looks like the ones that at least successfully went out he put on his page, but people are, oh no. Oh, maybe it wasn't that soon. My trust is gone. That one was removed by Kickstarter. Removed by Kickstarter. Hey, Sandy, when will we get Return to Planet of the Apocalypse, which we paid for years ago? The money, I mean, this is at 14 days ago, 19 days ago. Me neither. Still have not received my pledge. His fucking page is like a switch to my other account, subbed on both. Hey, appreciate it, bud. Thank you so much. It's just full of dead accounts. This dude is a fucking tourist at everything he does, and I don't want to say a scammer, but a mismanaged. Like, he can't manage a business to save his life. Like, this is TSR levels of mismanagement, to where they went through and put as many fucking products out there, but couldn't, and oversold on all the books and didn't make money, and TSR ended up closing down. This is like that level of mismanagement. Only they probably don't have to pay any of these people back. It's not like TSR, when making Dungeons and Dragons, did something like this and then never got the books out. They made too many books thinking that they were actually going to sell them. But this guy, update. Hasn't been an update on this since 2024. Almost a year coming up, and there hasn't been an update on this product. Very special message from Sandy. Actually, it's not quite as bad a news. Come on, bud. Well, with that, there is your look at Sandy Petersen, the legend. I now think I am right when I say that I called him a tourist. He is not a D&D creator. I've seen nothing yet. I've seen one other book. Let me see if I can find it again. Sandy Peter on D&D modules. If you go into this page, he's nowhere on this page, list of D&D modules, but I don't think this is all the modules. This is his Cthulhu Mythos Hub. That's his only flip. Any Lovecraftian ones? Like, where's his modules? Where are these modules at? Is this it? For 5th edition, they talk about his 5th edition one, which is still had problems with people getting their books. I wonder how many comments on his projects are positive on Kickstarter. It doesn't seem like many. Like, I wonder if I go down far enough on those forums, if we can see where people were complaining about getting the product and going through there. I see why Grums likes this guy. They're kindred spirits, breathed in the same light, right? Only Sandy, I can at least say, helped create the mythos, the Call of Cthulhu game. It doesn't seem like he's had anything to do with it in a while. Maybe help write some stuff. Anti-wokes love Kickstarters and that don't deliver. No wonder they keep falling for it again. Right? They just want to pay the money to the guy that they like. They don't care if they actually get the product that was promised to all of the people, right? Grum's turning his into a subscription for service for a game that doesn't even exist yet. This guy putting out tons and tons of Kickstarters that he can't seem to deliver on. Now he's lost the backer from a year ago that was going to help him produce this stuff. Like, what's next? What's next? I'm going to wait to hear Sandy's response to Hyperspace, because this should be interesting. But anyway, we're going to call it here, about 30 minutes out from my normal time. If thank you for joining. You can always like and subscribe. If you haven't liked the video, like the video on the way out. If you haven't subscribed yet, like Blitz did, subscribe to the channel. We're almost to 100, getting me on the way. And if you're ever feeling generous on one of my streams, I do have a little coffee. You can send a little tip. That's not asked for. I do this as a hobby, but I don't mind tips to, pay for my hobby too. It has TTS too, so it'll speak something out so that y'all can hear it. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful night, and we will see you on Monday.